How's it going, everybody? Uh, Let me see here. There we go. Um, Hi, Michael. Michael, is the sound all right? Sounds good. Great. Uh, Hey, HRM. Junior, good to see you. Hi, Dean. How are things in Alabama? Dan? Hot. Yeah. I got There it is. Hi, John. Mark. Okay. What I thought we could talk about. Hi, Truman. What I thought we could talk about was this morning we talked about the worst deal we ever made. Hey, Javi, Jonathan. Um, this morning we are. I know it wasn't morning for everybody, but it was for me. Um, we talked about the worst thing that ever happened, or the worst deal we ever made, or and I guess I I think it's almost impossible to be a watch collector and be active in it and not something happening. And when I started thinking about, well, what's the best deal you made? There's a lot of different ways to look at it. Um, Sometimes the best deal is that you're negotiating with somebody, or you find something that nobody else had seen, or um, just my case, I think a lot of times it was dumb luck. But that was what I wanted to talk about. And so the more I thought about it, I wasn't sure. And if you measure the best deal by your financial outcome, in my case, the two FP Journes I got before the pandemic, I was sort of everything sort of before and after the pandemic. It was just, by an astronomical difference in the change in the price of the watch. That remember, the value stays the same, but the price can go up or down. In my case, the my FP Journes went extremely up, but that wasn't the best deal because it happened through no fault of my own, I might add, other than happening to like the watch. Hey, Washington, and let's see, the perfect storm, huh? Yeah. So uh, the one I'm wearing now, for some reason, this is one of the deals that made me the happiest. Um, it's a Fabergé Alexi, which is nothing that anybody stands in line for, perhaps even knows about. Uh, it's a it's white gold, and Fabergé is seen more like as a fashion brand as opposed to a watch brand like like Rolex or Omega or one of those. So I think that was one of the reasons that I did understand that, and I understood, well, Fabergé. While that may be true, I also knew of their when they put out a watch, a guy's watch, a man's watch, that they used really good movements, and this was evidenced by they won some awards for some Grand Prix awards because they had some Agenor movements that really won the award for them. and their cases were excellent, and so on and so forth. It was one of those deals that I offered a very low amount and got it. And but the thing that surprised me was how much I've come to like the watch once I got it. That I think is why it's a deal that I liked, one of the best deals I made. Now there was another one I made some years ago on some poor guy who I wore down after about a year. On He had a Parmigiani Colpa, this robin egg blue one that I was pretty sure he'd never sell, and I was right. And he finally came to my price on it, and it was a great deal. I don't know what a good deal that was, but it was one that was worth having. So let's see what some of the best deals that you've had. Hey, Michael. Yeah. As any grand trade was completed in two transactions over a 6-month or so period, I've spoken to many dealers about which watches I wanted out of and which ones I was looking to put into my collection. Okay. Let's see. For me, the trades ended up occurring with one dealer. They were the only ones able to execute it in the way I wanted to efficiently, so my time was managed properly. Financially, that I ended up with being a win-win trade. In other words, the dealer and the seller won. So I like that story. I think the deal I got with my Harry Winston was the same way. The dealer was delighted because it wasn't a watch that they were. I mean, he was an AD on it, but this one was somewhat older, and so he felt very good about the deal, and so did I. I mean, that's the best kind of deal. HRM recently made a lovely deal, a solid gold Eberhardt tank watch with an onyx dial and Frederick Piguet caliber 21 movement. 650. Wow, that is a good deal. Yeah, yeah. Hey, Robert, how you doing? Let's see, football fan. The best deal I've made is a Fabergé. I was able to buy a Parmigiani Hebdo, and within 2 weeks, both at unbelievably prices. Wow, those are yeah. I tell you, the Hebdo Madari that's a very nice. That was the first movement that Michel Parmigiani designed himself from scratch, and yet that movement is in all kinds of watches just beside the Hebdo Madari, including the old Ovale Panmatic. Neat watch or neat movement. I cannot put a financial value on the grand trades I got out of watches that were no longer inspiring to me, and three grails that are not only works of art, but given timing now, I have significant sentiment value. Yeah, this is something. This is with this watch, and I don't know why, but I just love it, and it's fun to wear. It's just nothing about it I think that most people would even pay attention to, but I it's I really like it. Another one that I liked a lot, and this one was fairly expensive, but it was half price of what it was MSRP. And this is my Chanel Monsieur. Um, it's called the Chanel Monsieur, and it's 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 one that I never ever thought I'd be able to have because it was twice what I ended up paying for it, and there were so few of them around, and so you end up with something you keep looking at. The same is true with some other ones. Another one I sort of walked into. I had lost the deal on one watch and bumped into it literally into a Urban Jurgensen right when they had decided they were clearing them out because Urban Jurgensen had been sold to a group headed up by Kari Vuolaninen, and so they were getting rid of them. And again, this was a watch I'd wanted for a long time, couldn't afford it. Finally came along. One of the things I think somebody was saying something. I was talking. It was a comment they had made, and they said, "Oh, this couldn't happen or that couldn't happen." And if you find out enough about a watch and bide your time, just wait, and is that if something comes up, you'll know what it is. And I think that's another thing that's sort of like an optimistic view of watch collection. If what you'd like to get doesn't happen now, it doesn't matter what kind of watch it is or how much it is. It's something that you know about, you want, and you keep what I call it's sort of like sleeping with one eye open. All right, you go about your business. You don't spend all day trying to find a thing, but you sort of like looking for it out there. Oh, let's see. Okay, Truman, let me see. Almost half price on a new Blancpain bath escape. Wow, that is a good one. 13.15. But the watch didn't speak to me, so it went out again. The watch must connect. I agree with that. There has to be something there that has a connection. Sometimes there are watches that I really like, but sort of they what I'll call fade. And by that I mean I just don't look forward to wearing them anymore. But what I found out with those are ones that are good watches. It was not a bad deal. You didn't get burned, but they just fade, or you wanted to put something else in there. Robert, mutation. In 2018, on a Swiss Craigslist, I bought a Chopard LUC 1860 from the first limited edition with Hunter case. Wow. And 1.96 caliber for $5,500, which is a good price. And I love the watch. That is a good one. Hey, Vinyl Siren, is that right? 2019 Tudor Pelagos 49 blue. I like that watch. I like the blue one. From a guy who was looking to part ways with it quickly to get something else, and got a $3,600 CAD. He just wore it on a rubber strap. The bracelet was almost unworn. That's a nice one. You purchased your Journe pre-pandemic and feel you got a great. Well, I did then too, as a matter of fact. I got some of mine post-pandemic and still got a great deal. You got a watch, Michael, that I happen to like a lot, and that's what can I say? Vinyl. Let's see. Moreover, my friend who got me into watches has an LHD Pelagos, and so it made that much more special. Yes. Hey, Brian, how you doing? See, very good point on abiding your time. Yeah, that's abiding your time. Also, it's a little different than patience. Okay, I get, but it's similar to it. Still waiting for the right hitter to come along. Boy, I tell you, that's one to bide your time on too. get me an Agenor Chrono movement for a reasonable price. No, that's a good deal. I agree 100%. I don't know this. Yeah, speaking of good deals, there are Larique. Now this one took a lot of work, but I think we ended up with a watch that we all could afford that we couldn't afford otherwise. I'll put it that way. I mean, if we wouldn't have tried to buy even a entry level Kari Vuitton Lannen with the kind of workmanship and the kind of, and this is a bespoke caliber we ended up with. I think, I don't know, that it was so much work. We all waited so long. I don't know if it was sort of like I think it was a incredibly good deal, but it was, I don't know, it was so much work in the waiting and everything. My best deal came from watching this channel. There you go. Bought a PF Metrograph. That Metrograph, that is such a good watch. Michael just got one too, and he seemed to like it. And it was like, I don't know why. I don't like, I'm not into chronographs. And I'm going to bore everybody with that. There's nothing wrong with them. It's just, one of those things. But that one was it's such a pretty watch too. I love the looks of that chronograph that Brian got. The Metrograph, right? Yeah. Hi, Neisler. How you doing? Hope you're doing well. The best deal I got was Petite Seconde. I agree. That is such a good good watch. One of these days, these are, and everybody else, I guess, they're going to run out of those things. I keep thinking, well, they'll have them forever. And one of the reasons I wanted to get one was, and I may still yet, I don't know. Beside the fact that I like them, is so I can play around with the regulator. It's got this really easy regulator to fix, and I don't know how the back comes off. I don't know whether it's pop or unscrew or what, but that would be a neat watch to have because it is such, I'll say, a humble watch, to be able to keep it at like COSC kind of specs just because you can access it. Please let me know about the Tetrani COSC certified watches. I don't know too much about Tetrani. I know somebody who does, though. I'll ask them about it for you, Nizar. Robert, I've been looking for your watch. Can't find one yet. Which watch is that? Said Robert. Yeah, Michael, you got the green one. Love that green one. I recently bought a used Zenus A34 in excellent condition for just over $4K. They sell for $7K. Now this is in pounds sterling, which is about, I don't know what their rate of exchange is, I think in terms of dollars. So it would probably be about $1.50 or so. I'm not exactly sure. Almost pulled the trigger on a Tonda Metrograph for 6,000. But the Depraz chronostop. I don't. What is it? Don't you like about that? About that chronograph, Truman? Red band. Okay. Hey Tim, how you doing? One I got. This was really funny. It was a Zenith too. It was a Zenith Elite, and it was a dual time zone. And it was the first I'd been looking for a dual time zone, and I saw this one, and I offered the guy half of what he was asking for it, and he gave it to me. And what it was this: is that I noticed that there was a little note in the seller thing saying, "This will fit like a 6-inch wrist." Because the original owner took out one of the things out of the bracelet, And so I thought, oh boy, they're going to have a hard time selling this. And so I offered half and I got it for that. And it's a great watch. And then it has I had a watchmaker take a look at it. He said everything worked fine, and it did. And something very strange happened to it. It runs fine, but the hour and minute hand don't work. They quit. Something happened, and then you can see the old second hand going around. So I know it's, but and the guy that was the watchmaker who worked on it retired, and so I don't know. Maybe I'll take it down and see if I can get my God. The guy must be close to 90 now. My watchmaker. Robert, I know of one. I know a guy who has one of these for sale. Okay, if you're send me a PM if you're interested. I just remembered something. Okay. Okay, Tim is here. All the boozers are hard at work. Okay, what boy, you guys have some great stories. What are some other ones you have? Trying to think if I got any more. Look at my most of the time when I got oh, I know one. Yeah. My Vacheron Constantin. That was one I got there was Vacheron my very first sports watch, I guess, luxury sports watch was a overseas, Vacheron Constantin overseas. And then I got a 1972. The 1972 I love, but it sat in my case. I never wore it and finally sold it. But the one that I had wanted for a long time was that 1921, the one that angled, but there was no way I could afford it. And there was I don't know if you remember what they called the Asian crisis. And this was the Chinese government found out that people from China were going on vacation outside of China and buying watches and using them for bribes. So there was a train accident in China, and this one, I guess I'll call him a bureaucrat for lack of a better term, but he was a guy who made decisions on government contracts, and he was wearing a watch that was way over his income. And so they finally figured out what was going on, and they were using watches for bribes rather than seeing some guy's bank account jump. He just got this really great watch, and so what happened was the year that I got mine, all of these watches in China were unsold, and so they had to send a whole bunch of them back to the U.S. or Switzerland or Europe or just out of China. And there were some great deals, and I got one of them, and it was it was about a $10,000 cut that they had, and that was right, pretty much at the edge of what I could afford, but it was a great deal. This was believe me, I had nothing to do with the Chinese government's decision on anything, but you know, simply lucked into that one. Ah, thanks, Tim. Hey, Jack. New complete set of Bulgari Octo Roma. That is the best deal. That is a fantastic watch. From Dubai this week. MSRP is 7,700 watt. Gorgeous blue dial. That is one watch that I recommended again and again and again. In fact, we got one of our sons one of those. Great, great watch. I'm going to, I hope, New York this coming week, and I hope to pick them up. I'm going to the Jean Rousseau, and I can take his watch with me, as I want to have a black shiny gator that they do a great job on. This is my Jean Rousseau shiny gator. I don't know. I like the shiny ones, and but it's on the Octoroma. You can find great buys on those, and they're great watches. The BVL 191 movement is a manufactured Bulgari. They say what I used to say call Bulgari, but they call it Bulgari, something like that, which is the correct pronunciation. Sometimes they spell it with a V, sometimes with a U, but that's a heck of a good watch. And it sounds like you got a great deal on it, Jack. Yeah. Well, actually, Truman, that 1921, um, it was about, I think it's about 36 now, something like that. It was 35, I think, when I got it, but then it was boom. I got the the ones the the returns from Asia, and I was able to get a pretty good buy on it. Yes, please, I would, Brian. Hey, Ivan, the best deals are those that I never made. Yeah, some of those too. I've had those also. Oh yeah, there'll always be another one. Yeah, that was somebody said that, and that was the truest statement. He said the best deal still hasn't been made yet, and I always that's always sort of a good thing. A lot of people say, "Ah, gee, I missed, the opportunity, the pre-pandemic this or the Asian crisis or one thing or the other." There'll be another time when there'll be a super special watch or one that people didn't pick up on. There's some out there now that I know people haven't picked up on that I'm biding my time, in other words, saving my money until I can get one before everybody else finds out about it. You bet, Jack. Hey, Boston Collector, did someone say deals? What type of deals are you asking about? Retail or secondary purchases? Well, any kind, it whatever a deal's a deal. Red tattoos. This is a you can see my wolf. This is from a Swedish folk tale, um, in honor of my Swedish great grandfather. Or one of them. I got a lot of grandfathers out there. Some I may not know about. Um, Hi, Alp. How you doing? Thanks, man. Say, there's this great place that my son, who is he finds great places, called, it's in San Francisco. It's called Upper Playground, and they got all of these different kinds of shirts. And they had this special one was these artists that came in. They did some. They did somehow got my wolf for me. Forgot the name of it. There was a certain sort of a folklore name. It's not Beowulf, but it's something like it's some other name that they call them. Take care, Michael. I'm glad you could make it today. Quorum. James, yes. Quorum has the Golden Bridge. I think that's it. I think it's Quorum. If you can find a Golden Bridge in a Quorum, that's your watch, and then you have a bridge with the entire movement on that bridge. It was originally done by Vincent Calabrese. John Mayer Daytona at retail, and 6263 gold black Daytona, half the current market price. Okay. Is it that time? Whoops, it is, Hobby. Thank you. Well, listen, guys, I got to run. Thank you all for your great stories. I love to hear them. And see you next week, I hope. Take care.